welcome back to
Bunso
Bunso Bites.
Bites.
I'm your host, Ami43.
And I'm your co-host, Chiggy.
How are you doing today, Chiggy?
I'm pretty good.
This is, I think the first time in a while that we have recorded not super late in the day.
Yeah. So
if the lighting looks a little different, we're actually recording. Also, now that the weather's getting warmer, the day's longer. So if the lighting looks a little different, that's probably what it is. We're trying to keep it consistent. We do have our regular lights on, but if you're wondering why, it might look a little bit, I don't know, maybe brighter. I'm not sure. But anyways, how have you been, Chiggy? What's been going on in your week this week?
As far as work is concerned, I have gone through training the 2 new trainees from, I think, April.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 are up and running already. I'm starting tomorrow with another pair of new trainees. So gonna go back to those long days. Overtime is pre-approved and as many as I want. So yay for me and losing sleep.
I mean, it's not even the sleep part of it. It's just how draining the long days can be, I feel like.
Of course.
Because you have succeeded and had successful days when you have 2-3 hours of sleep. So, you can function. But I think it's the repetitiveness that comes with training, and particularly with your job. Your job is very complex, but it can get redundant, I think, once you get it.
It's
right?
very redundant.
Yeah. So, but cheers to the success of the previous trainees theoretically, and it seemed like it was going well. So now you have some new ones. Just start the wheels again.
Yep. The only thing is when I get these 2 new ones up and running, I'm gonna be auditing more than 5 people.
Oh yeah.
And it's 100% audits. So any key they file between now and whenever they feel like to stop auditing them, it's going to be 5 whole people.
It'll be a lot. Yeah.
It will be a lot. So whatever they key, I'll audit, and I'm the only one auditing their files. So it's cool. I got a whole bunch of work to do every day.
Right. Hey, at least you know that there's always going to be something.
There will, yeah.
Yeah, to take care of. Which don't get me wrong, it can be a headache when it feels like your inbox is never clear, or it feels like your work is never done. But what is nice, I mean, the counter to that is, that when you go into work every day, you have more than enough to fill your 8 to 10 hours. Cause,
yeah, definitely.
there are times when, and we've experienced this both at the current jobs that we have now, and even at other jobs where sometimes it'll get so slow that you're just what am I doing here?
No.
But
I mean, it does get monotonous, so I do tend to fall asleep because I'm doing the same thing day in, day out.
Over and over again. Yeah, that's
but
true.
I do not have a shortage of work.
Yeah.
Even if I do manage to get through all the work that I'm assigned from all the new keyers keying their files, I still have other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And
your actual job.
Right. And even if I get done with all that somehow and the work that I'm assigned to on a daily basis, I can do other stuff, stuff that I've been doing since I've started with the company.
Fair.
I just don't, because that's not my department anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. It's a weird world out there right now. I feel like both you and I, our jobs have been changing a lot the last couple months, and we've had to ride that wave and just kind of hope and pray that we're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay, but it's also just there's just been a lot going on, and a lot of things around the world that are affecting, which is ironic because you and I do 2 very different things, but who would have thunk?
Right. And then other than work, here in my lap now, if you haven't noticed already, this is Eevee. It's not a plushie, though.
It's not.
This is Penny's Eevee backpack from Scarlet and Violet.
From the game Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet,
yep.
Correct.
I'm going to hold up and show it because I haven't gone through and see what this actually is. But I just put it in my lap for now. So while you talk about it, I'm just going to look through it.
Oh, okay. So for context, again, the character is Penny from Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet, and as you can see, it's an Eevee plushie that's a backpack. Chicky's holding up the straps right now, and this character iconically has an Eevee backpack all throughout the course of the game. And I know that when this game came out, one of like the first things that people were saying were like, when is Pokemon gonna release like Penny's backpack? Yep, there is a zipper in the back, and Eevee's little body is the backpack. It looks like you're performing really morbid surgery. Yeah, so she has a little pocket just in the back, and you can see like even the straps, they carried on the whole like fluffy Eevee fur little bit of it. So yeah, that's the Eevee backpack. We got it pretty much when they put it on sale. Like, I don't know. There was no pre-sale for it. I saw the ad on the Pokemon Center Instagram and sent it to Chiggy, and Chiggy bought it.
Yeah. So from what I don't know the word is.
What is the word?
What I inspected from this Eevee backpack.
From what you gather.
From what I just saw, the one pocket that it has is very small.
Yeah, it'll fit a phone and maybe a wallet.
Yeah, and it's not like a traditional backpack that actually has space and
yeah, that's not holding a laptop or anything.
It's really just a plush backpack, and you can fit maybe 2 or 3 things in there.
Yeah.
So it's more of an aesthetic, not an actual backpack.
100%.
So this came off the Pokemon Center website. It came off for $70 and sold out pretty quickly.
It did sell out really quickly. Although, surprisingly, well, it sold out the same day. But I will say, Chiggy didn't buy it till the end of the day. So you were still able to get it. It's just, within the first. And again, it's one of those items that from the moment that Scarlet and Violet came out, and mind you, that Scarlet and Violet's been out for a minute now, but so many people were like, where's the Eevee backpack? Like, where is it? So I guess Pokemon Center listened, and they came out with the backpack. I'm sure there's many a cosplayer out there that is very, very excited because they can get like an actual Eevee backpack, and like if they wanted to cosplay as Penny, that'd be really cool. So you have the actual prop.
Yeah, and so we have this. I guess you'll be wearing this for the next con that we go to. Yeah.
Yep. Chiggy and I do like to attend the occasional con when it fits in our schedules and it's not too out of the way. But we were actually talking to our we have a group of friends that we go with, and we didn't go to the last 2 cons that have been in our area, but we're looking at the next one, and I was like, are we going, guys? I'm like, because if we are, I'm definitely wearing the Eevee backpack. Just for funsies. What is it? Maybe 3 cons ago, I went as Eevee. That was really fun because Chiggy bought me Eevee, like a headband that was the Eevee ears. Yeah. So I just wore like a cute little brown dress and some cute sneakers, and I was like Eevee. But yeah, that's a really nice update. It adds to our plush collection, but also it's a different kind of plush. Also, I'm looking at it on the screen. It is very different from our actual Eevee. The Eevee on the left side of Chiggy, like it's more like yellowy brown, and then this Eevee is more like brownie brown.
Doodoo brown.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, more like brownie batter brown is what I was saying. But hey, very nice. It's a nice little add to the collection for sure.
All right. And so that was just my update. What would be your update for this week?
My update for this week is paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
I have spent the last, week and a half maybe? I don't know. I've been so buried in it that it's just a lot. Concerning wedding paperwork. So just trying to get all of the things in order, on top of the fact that we're obviously trying to fix and organize the finances to start paying for them real big expensive things that you need for a wedding, but also just getting our individual paperwork in order and getting the paperwork in order for Chiggy and I are planning to get married at the church that we go to, so just try to get all that in order. And or more than anything, it's a lot of organizing, like just administrative organizing, which for all intents and purposes is not difficult, but because there's so much of it and I have to gather a lot of information from like all of our friends and family, and like, it's just it's taking longer than I want it to take, but I'm also trying to just focus on being diligent on it rather than focusing on I need to finish it now. So like doing a little bit every time I get, some free time to just be like, okay, and we had a meeting with the secretary and kind of got the like clarifications on things and stuff. So I've just been like head down trying to get all the paperwork in order. Not in a bad way at all. It's just it's taking time, and I work a full-time job, so gotta do that. And I also feel like I've been in a state of there's so many things ahead of me that I'm not present, which feels really bad, but it's also just like that's just kind of the chapter I'm in right now, where I'm constantly thinking about, okay, well, we have dinner plans next week, and we have I have to go here at the end of the month, and then next month we have this, and then we have the wedding there, and then we have this, and I'm constantly thinking about what's coming up that I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like I haven't really been like here today. And so that's been a little overwhelming, but it's also like really nice because I have plans. We have future plans. Speaking about the con, like, we may or may not go, I don't know, depending on how busy you are. If I'm not mistaken, I'm coming back into town that weekend, so I don't even know I'm available, but it's also like I'm just coming back into town, so I don't know what the situation will be and all that stuff. So it's all up in the air, but not in a bad way. Again, it's all positive things. It's just I am getting a little overwhelmed, just a little bit.
You are definitely.
I say only a little overwhelmed because I don't think my anxiety has gotten bad. It's just more of like I'm rushing a lot.
Yeah.
Because like when my anxiety is bad, other things are affected in my life, but I don't think it's gotten that far that bad. We're genuinely just really busy right now. All that to say, when we were talking about today's episode, I was like, can we just talk about something that does not matter?
Sure.
Or like, it's not that it doesn't matter, but like we wanted to talk about something completely lighthearted and just not a direct concern.
Yeah.
With our lives. I wanted to spend the hour or the 45 minutes just kind of talking a little bit of nonsense with you, but also just like a lot of new things have been coming out and we're just really, really intriguing. So on today's episode, Chiggy and I are going to be discussing and talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Which, if you do or do not know, there is a Nintendo Switch. Chiggy and I both have one. Chiggy has the original. I have the aesthetic Animal Crossing one, which I currently have little strawberry case on, and I love and adore. We love our Switches. But the announcement came out, I think like the Nintendo Direct was like last month or 2 months ago, and Nintendo Switch 2 was announced, and it's been in the works and it's been talked about, but they had the full Direct like within the last month or two, and then I don't know if it was another Direct that came out or just kind of like this update with terms and conditions, and everyone on the internet's been blowing up about it. And so I was telling Chica, I was like, we got to talk about this because it's really, really interesting as a gamer and as a lighthearted gamer, but also just, we currently have Switches, and so it's just this interesting conversation of just like, so are we going to get the Nintendo Switch 2? But first and foremost, before we even talk about like the controversy part of it, what are your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2? Like based on the things that, you've seen, whether it was the Direct or just any information that you've seen.
Also from the Direct, we actually did just watch the direct
Yeah.
before we started shooting,
Mhm.
but just from that short clip, it's just the same thing from the Nintendo Switch 1,
Yeah.
just a little bit bigger. Even the buttons are
The buttons
the
are bigger.
sticks
Yeah.
are bigger. The ZLZR are bigger
Mhm.
on the Joy-Cons.
SLSR. Yeah.
And everything just works the same still.
Mhm.
I guess the only changes that I remember, instead of the cons coming off through the top after you press the button, you can remove it. You press the button and you can remove it because it's magnetic.
Yes.
And so they have magnetic magnets inside the console to keep that controller in once it's docked into the
rather than the plastic slider.
right.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I may have a little bit of concerns with it because it is a strong magnet. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to mess up like credit cards and phones if your
Other electronics.
other items start brushing up against the Switch too. But that's neither here or there. It's just something that was on my mind. But everything else literally functions the same. The increase in size is like 1.7 inches, a little bit less than 2 inches. So the screen's a little bit bigger. They say that the pixels, though, is twice
Yes.
than what it was before.
Yes.
And because the screen is slightly bigger in both dimensions, the number of pixels will increase. And, say if it was, I don't know, 1 million pixels at first, and then with the small increase in the length and width, that could equal, a 2 million pixel
right,
for the Switch 2. But I'm not that into like the actual
Specs.
fine tunes of the how it looks, the graphics and all
Right,
that. So
right.
it could look like trash to me, but I still play it if it's a good game.
That's true.
Like it doesn't have to run on
Some
like
of the best
4K.
games do not look great, but
Yeah.
they're good games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I could play like Minecraft because Minecraft is like one of those games that you can play anywhere. It has crap graphics, but it's like still really, really popular.
Right. Right.
But to me, I don't really focus on graphics. I don't have to have 4K, 1080p, those high definition type graphics to play a game. Like it doesn't really bother me. I could play on something very gritty and still play it.
Yeah. What about the increase in is it called FPS?
The frames per second.
Yep.
It says that it's running on 120.
120, which originally I think it was 60
I think
or
so.
less. Yeah.
I think most games didn't even hit 60. It ran on 30, which is what I'm used to. So that doesn't really bother me either. If some games can hit 120 FPS and you feel that smoothness, that's cool. But like I said earlier, I'm not into the graphics. I'm not into like all that. I just want to play a good game.
Yeah, that's absolutely valid. I mean, I know for me, and this is solely based on like, so I compare it to the like FPS and the graphics part of it, kind of like to what a smartphone would be. And I know let me not say I know. I'm pretty sure Apple, because we have iPhones, iPhone runs on 60 FPS. But everyone complains about that, like, because I think a lot of the Android phones, like the Samsung Galaxies of the world, they run on like 120, and so there's like they call it like a snappier feel to graphics. I am not necessarily one that cares about that, but that's what I was comparing it to when I was watching the direct, and I was like, oh, okay, so for people, and I'm trying to think of like, there are certain games where maybe having that smoother snap to in the frames per second, it could have an impact. Like one of the things that I was thinking about was frame perfect Mario. Like we watch a lot of Mario speed runs and a lot of like people who play like hardcore Mario mons and things like that. And it's those like frame perfect jumps or frame perfect whatever. And I'm like, maybe that would, I don't know if it would help, but it would definitely enhance the experience, I guess. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's really, really cool. Like that's something that, although I don't personally play it, I know that it would affect even the content that we watch for people who would get the Switch too. And one of the things, because you were mentioning how, oh yeah, for all intents and purposes it's the same. I agree. Like everything about it looks like it's like, okay, it functions the same way. But one of the things that someone said was, if you think of the Nintendo Switch as like the first generation, and then Nintendo Switch OLED is 1.5, and then Nintendo Switch 2 is like the 2, like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because apparently those who have like the OLED, they're like, yeah, that's kind of like what we're going towards, or what we're going for. And you know, this idea of the magnetic little controllers, I think they originally wanted the Switch 1 to be like that, but because they couldn't get it quite right with the, like you said, with the magnets and the how they, you know, input it on the controller without affecting the actual remote itself. And supposedly, I don't know, supposedly they helped fix some part of the drift. I don't know if it's true or not. Chiggy and I we have the worst controllers, because our controllers just get drift like immediately. You know, so it's one of those things that you're just like, okay, it truly is a quote unquote improvement on the Switch, and it is a step up, but that's kind of the point, right? Because it's still Nintendo Switch, but it's Nintendo Switch 2. So you know, it's the next, supposedly the next level, or the next generation of it. All right, so that's our reactions and impressions on what we see from the Nintendo Switch 2. We are not tech people. We are gamer, like,
we're casual gamers.
Casual gamers, that's the word I was trying to think of. Yeah. We're not even like hardcore in any way. We're just casual gamers. And even then, Chiggy likes to play games on his computer, and I will play on the Switch, but like I'm playing Animal Crossing and Pokemon. Like I'm not playing anything crazy, you know, where hardcore specs matter to me. They don't. Now, all that being said, before we even get to the controversy, because this was a question that I was asking Chiggy before we heard about all the stuff with terms and conditions, were you considering getting the Nintendo Switch 2?
Yeah. Just because we were looking at getting the new Mario Kart.
Yes, the new Mario Kart.
The one that looks like it's Mario Kart World.
World, yeah.
Because it's like an open world Mario Kart,
which is so cool. Like, genuinely, that's like one of the coolest things I've seen, a Mario Kart game where it's open world, and it's, you know, also, we didn't even talk about this, there's new accessories that come with the Switch. There's the camera and the microphone, and like the way they're promoting it is like the Nintendo's version of Discord, essentially. Okay. Where you can play with friends. And that sounds really, really cool, especially if you're playing like Mario Party, or if you're playing Mario Kart. You know, those types of things. Like, if great example, we have friends who I know if we would play Mario Party with them, but they live like in a town and a half over, like it would take, you know, almost an hour to get to their house. But if we could play, you know, Mario Kart with them just from the comfort of our home, that'd be really, really cool. Yeah. So that is another thing. There's the camera. I don't know how good the camera, I'm not gonna lie, it looks like an early 2000s webcam on a stick. Like, which, that's not a bad thing. I want to make that clear, but it's also like not, I don't think it's HD in any way, shape, or form. Like, I don't know, maybe because you and I are corporate, but like even my work webcam for my, you know, computer theoretically, I don't know the specs on it, but theoretically my webcam on my work computer looks like 10 times better than what the webcam on a stick looks like. It literally looks like it's a stick, and it looks like, you know, those like circular microphones from back in the day, like that old radio hosts would use. That's what it looks like to me. And then I think there's a microphone either in that camera or on the Switch itself, and then there's sound cancel. They're boasting all this tech, but when we were watching the direct and I was looking at it, I was like, I don't think it's as good as they're saying that it is. Like, and I'm just basing this on, like, again, this to me it looks like early 2000s tech of like when you would, you know, MSN call your friends, like that level. It's not bad. It works, but it's not like having a Zoom call or anything. Right. I don't know how else to equate that.
I mean, the accessories, in theory, they sound cool. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be popular in any way, shape, or form.
Not even with kids.
Right. Because I know that we have headsets for the Switch 1. Yes. And we have yet to even break them out the box.
I know.
Only because we don't play that many online multiplayer games, so there's really no use for them at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think with like everyone getting the Switch too, I mean, I know a lot of people won't be getting the accessories with it, i.e. the camera and the headset or whatever. But if Nintendo has this quote unquote Discord,
or like their version of it, you get voice chat and you can chat with your friends essentially while you're gaming.
And if it's like required to use for online play, then maybe it'll probably be bought more by the consumer base, but I don't think it will be very popular in the beginning, because Discord can still function with all that, and everyone can get Discord. Discord's free. Yeah, you just need your own mic and your camera, but you know, you can Discord. Yeah, you can use it on your phone as well, so that can act as your camera and your mic. But you know, people may use their phone for other things while they're gaming, but that's neither here or there. It's just an option. But if Nintendo does have their own version of that and it's required for all that, then I think it's gonna be I would guess it'd be a pretty bomb thing. Like, it would fail instantaneously compared to Discord. So I don't think it's gonna be very popular for all those accessories.
And I mean, I'm interested to see, because I think the same way, where it's like, I wouldn't necessarily think that the accessories are going to be a big hit, but I'm curious to see how Nintendo will try to like almost force it, like, oh, you can't play online games unless you have and so that to tie into terms and conditions. I don't know if it was like a document was intentionally leaked or if it was just like terms and conditions, like when people were pre-ordering, but there is a lot in that terms and conditions. There's like 6 pages long. We did not read the document. I want to make full transparency. We were just watching people summarize and or react to the terms and conditions, and we just wanted to throw our 2 cents in too, because it's very, very interesting. So first and foremost, one of the things that has been a topic of discussion outside of the terms and conditions, but like relating to it, is the overall price of the Nintendo Switch and or the games associated with Nintendo Switch 2. Now, traditionally, a Nintendo Switch game is about $60, $59.99, give or take. The occasional $70 game, if I'm not mistaken, for like premium games. I want to say maybe like wasn't Zelda, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was $60 maybe? I don't know. They're within 60 or 70. And that's kind of been the threshold for all intents and purposes. Most games across the board, you're going to pay anywhere from 50 to 75. We'll say that's the range for general games. Now, with the announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo has also announced that they intend on selling their games for $80 a pop. Now, in this economy, that's definitely, and mind you, the things that we were talking about, this is all very frivolous. None of this is necessary. Please don't think that we're trying to like state anything political about this. We're just talking about games. But $80 for a Mario game. Thoughts?
Okay. So my thoughts, if you have been a gamer and you have consistently been buying games, the price should not matter. No. So if you've been a gamer since the Nintendo Classic, the Nintendo Entertainment System,
NES,
those games were either $50 or $60.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
In the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And they've consistently been $50, $60 since recently.
Yes.
So a $10, $20 markup, not a big deal for those gamers. Okay. Those who consistently been buying games. Now, I don't know where all this outrage is coming from. $20 more or $20, $30 more for a game. That's not much. Does it suck? Sure, but it's not much of an increase. Okay. because the inflation from
I was about to say, to be fair, inflation from the 90s till now,
is
way
a lot
more
more.
than, way more than that.
So a game bought in the 90s is way more expensive than games bought now. So that's just my take. If you're really into a game, you're like been watching it since pre-release and been following it. If you want to play that game, there should be nothing stopping you from buying it at that price point.
Right.
So, I don't want to like put anybody down, but if you're complaining about $80 for a game, you're kind of, I don't know, don't have your priorities straight. Like, I could spend $80 on a night out just eating dinner.
That's true. Yeah.
Literally, we went out and spent more than $80 for a dinner.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
Cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you spent 80 on that.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about the other place where we were just like, why did we spend that much money? But
Yeah.
I don't remember how much.
But I mean, yeah, you could literally just, stop getting Starbucks for a week or so, 2 weeks maybe. That could probably
it's $7 a drink. So like, if you don't get Starbucks for 10 days, 11 days,
yeah. So
there's your $80
go
game.
2 weeks without Starbucks, and then there you have your money for your $80 game, and then you're set.
Yeah.
You're gonna be inside anyway, so what you gonna go out for Starbucks?
Okay, so counter to this, because I'm not, I don't have much stake in this, in a sense of like, I'm kind of we are in a very privileged situation where like, we can go out and spend $80 on like a meal at a Cheesecake Factory, or we can save that $80 and go buy a video game. We are very privileged in that sense. But what are your thoughts on, and I'm going to bring up our friend. Our friend has 4 children.
Yeah.
And he has to get an $80 game versus a $50 or $60 game. Thoughts? Does that change anything?
So this friend, I know you have 4 kids, and I know you're going to make ends meet regardless if you buy this game or not. But if you want to play that game, he's going to buy that $80 game.
That's true. No, that's true. I will give him that. It's so funny because he is raising his children to be video game fiends as well, and it's really funny to watch because we're video game fiends. So it's just like little us, little versions of us. And no, and I think one of the things that has people in like another aspect to this is that you buy one. And so, like, let's say I buy one for nephew number 1. If nephew number 2 wants it, nephew number 1 can't share. I have to buy another game to give to nephew number 2. Same game. So, like, if we bought Super Mario World, the Mario Kart, or Mario Kart World, I'm sorry. If I bought that for nephew 1, I'd have to buy nephew 2 another copy. So I'd be spending $160 just for them to play Mario Kart together.
Yeah.
Because they have their own Switches, but... Wow, that sounds so elitist.
It does.
But like, and so that's kind of another angle or facet to this. So I sympathize because we do not have kids, but I know that if we had 2 children, that would be really hard. If we had 2 kids, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna buy this game, and then it's like, that's hard. Like, you're gonna say no to one. Now, granted, it's different if we're like, okay, we're giving it for their birthday or whatever, but it's like, if we're giving it for good grades, then we have to get 2, like, that type of a thing, which is, I know that not everyone has that luxury, so that part can be really hard, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, this is not necessarily a need.
Oh, absolutely not.
Us.
As I said from the beginning, this is all just frivolous, like, whatever, yeah.
Right, so one game can be shared throughout a family. Does it suck because you can't play together? Sure, but you're going to make it work because...
I'll give you my console. You could play for an hour. You give it back to me. I play for an hour. Yeah.
So, do you need to buy multiple copies? No. Would it be nice to have multiple copies? Sure. But it's not a need.
Yeah. So, okay. And then, so again, tying that all back to terms and conditions, this whole thing about licensing. So, according to terms and conditions, I'm not quoting this. This is just like what we're hearing. If you buy a Nintendo Switch 2, which is $450, if you buy the bundle packet, it's $500 because that comes with one of the games.
Right.
So you're spending $500 on this console. according to Nintendo, you do not own that console.
Correct.
You have the license to play that console, which means, per the terms and conditions, Nintendo, at any point, should they feel the need to, can remote into your Nintendo Switch and completely turn it off.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
That's it. To me, that seems very extreme. Now, I understand the Nintendo's like justification is we don't want people modding, we don't want people, hacking, we don't want people doing things that there's certain things that they don't want people to do, and I fully get that. Like, their licenses are their licenses. They're trying to keep it, their stuff, and that's totally viable and fine. Like, that's the whole point of licensing. But to straight up monitor, like, they're monitoring how you use your Switch, what you use your Switch. They're monitoring the video streaming. They're monitoring the chat function, all aspects of it. And at any point, at their discretion, without knowledge to you at all, like, from my understanding, there's not going to be like a warning or anything. There's like straight up just like, you have it, and then if Nintendo's like, you're out.
Yeah.
And so you're just left with a physical dead console after spending $500 on it. I think that's crazy. Well, I think it's very extreme. Let me not say it's crazy. I understand what they're trying to do, but I'm like, this feels very... Because what if your little brother accidentally picks up your console and just starts playing with it and does like weird, I don't know, whatever weird accidental buttons that baby brothers do, and then you're locked out of your Switch?
Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, a majority of the consumer base will not have a problem with these terms and conditions. Because they use the Switch properly within their terms and conditions, and there's going to be no issue with it. Now, the other small minority of hackers and modders and streamers that want to mod for their content will have an issue with this, and I believe that's where most of this is coming from.
Like where outrage is coming from, right?
Because
outrage, I mean like YouTube reels that we've watched 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, some people, because they are streamers and they need the content for whatever video game to mod it, will have an issue with it because they are not playing it to their liking. And since that is their full-time job, they will have an issue with it. But doesn't mean that they can't play a game regularly.
Oh yeah,
right.
Like plainly, or as Nintendo intends.
Right.
Yeah. And
so, I don't see where this outrage is coming from. Now, the only part that I don't like is, if at any time, further down the line in the future, when Nintendo Switch 2 becomes obsolete, and they just shut down their servers and all that, you may just have a bricked console because you can't connect to anything.
Yeah. Okay, so that's another thing, and I don't know if I don't want to jump around too much because like we're talking about a lot of things, but so if you look at kind of like how the Nintendo Switch 2 is set up, it seems like you can only really play if you're online. But the whole point of the Nintendo Switch 2 is it's a mobile console. So, like, if, I'm like, if I ride the school bus, I don't ride school buses anymore. But, like, if I were to go on a public transport, bring my Nintendo Switch 2, from what we see online, I don't know if they've corrected this or whatever. This was, if I don't have internet connection. Now, granted, there's Wi-Fi in a lot of public places. I will grant them that. But, like, not everywhere. And then on top of that, and I'm thinking of, like, kids. Kids they do have cell phones, but not all of them are able to hotspot from their cell phone.
Right.
So, like you were saying, it's like, then they just have a brick of a Nintendo Switch because it's not online. And I'm like, that to me is crazy. For a quote-unquote mobile console to solely work if it's online. I don't think that's okay. Because I'm just like... that defeats the purpose of being able to play. Like, I like playing my Nintendo Switch when my phone has no signal, because I'm like, I don't need signal for my Nintendo Switch. I can just play Animal Crossing to my heart's content and no one's going to bother me. Now, granted, I can't visit my friends' islands, but, like, if I'm just messing around on my island, that's fine, And so that to me is like a, oof, and like you said, I know in the future, eventually, how many years down the line, you're right, the servers will shut down. I know that because Mario Maker 1, those servers shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, in the end, only people can play the levels that they downloaded,
Yeah.
and that's it. So it's like, at that point, you're like, okay. Now, granted, it's they have Mario Maker 2 now, and there's other things or whatever, but it's like, well, that it takes away the, like, imagine if that was us, with the consoles that we had as a kid. I can pop open my DS, charge it, and I can play Pokemon Sun and Moon, or I can play games that I played years and years and years ago. It's not reliant on a server, the internet, or whatever. Though they have those capabilities, but it's not reliant on that. Like, I can go back and play a game, and it's totally fine. We can go back and play a GameCube game, or a Wii game, and nothing has changed.
Right.
And so it's really interesting to see how they've taken what's supposed to be a mobile console, and essentially, like, they have a time limit. From the get-go, there's a finite time limit to it. If let's say my nephews are 9 and 6, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they're 29 and 26, they can't go back and play their old Nintendo Switch games for nostalgia.
Right.
Like that type of thing, that's heartbreaking, because it's like, that's one of the fun things about, I know you and we're older, but we love nostalgic gaming. Every time we go to different places and they have like old school gaming consoles and whatever, we live for that. Like, we have so much fun. So it's so interesting to see how the landscape of gaming obviously is constantly changing, but like, this is the stance that Nintendo's taking with the Nintendo Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm very, very intrigued. It's all very. It's a different world, The fact that we're willing to invest $500 on something that we know is finite is crazy. Maybe not crazy, but it's like, that's mind-boggling in that sense. So after all of that, are we still going to get the Nintendo Switch 2?
Yes. I'm still willing to get it at that price point, $500. With the game, I'd still get it.
I'm 100% racing as Moo Cow from Moo Meadows.
And that's fine. The only thing is, I'm not one of those people that will have FOMO of not getting it, like, when it gets released.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we didn't even get when we got our Switches, we didn't get our Switches when they were released. We got our Switches a couple years in, actually.
Yeah. And so by the time we finally get our hands on one, it may even drop down because, I don't know, the demand's not there anymore. Who knows? Yeah. But, I'm still willing to buy it at that price point if it's available on launch day or not. Mm-hmm. Whenever we do get our hands on it, whatever the price point is, I'll definitely buy it.
Yeah, it launches at the beginning of June, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll update y'all and let y'all know if we got our hands on it or not. So yeah, I'm really interested to see not just how it pans out when it is released. I mean, I fully expect that people are still gonna buy it. There's no question. I mean, the Nintendo loyalty is like trenches deep, so I don't think they will have a problem with that. I just think that it seems like the decisions that they're making, a lot of people are disagreeing with it, and so I'm interested to see how much that will affect the people vote with their dollars, so to speak. So I'm interested to see if it will change in that way. And people turn to one of the videos we were watching. They're like, if you want to spend $500, just get a Steam Deck or just get a PS5. Is it 5? That's out, whatever. Yeah, because it's cheaper. Which is also, that's another thing that's crazy to me, because I've always thought of like Nintendo as like that's a family friendly like console. Like we're not Xbox, we're not PlayStation. Like we're Nintendo, and it's like, oh, now they're more than. So it'll be interesting to see. Let us know in the comments down below. Are you guys interested in getting the Nintendo Switch 2? Or did the terms and conditions scare you away from it? Or even just the cost, because the cost is going up and we don't even know. It may go up even more, it may go down, who knows? So let us know in the comments down below. Are you guys interested, or are you going to be buying the Nintendo Switch 2? Or did the terms and conditions scare you off? I definitely think it's a conversation to have. As Chiggy said, we probably are still most likely going to get a Nintendo Switch 2. The games are still of interest to us, and obviously we are in a very privileged place where we can get a Nintendo Switch 2, but we'd be interested to know your thoughts down below. Yeah, and let us know. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.